Sometimes, one small act done with a pure heart can return to you in ways you never expect. This is a story that begins with a stranger's kindness and ends with a miracle that no amount of money could buy. In a busy city market, under the heat of the afternoon sun, a young man named Rohan sat on the pavement next to his small cart of fruits. His father had passed away the previous year, and his mother's health was fragile. Every day, Rohan worked long hours trying to earn enough to pay for her medicine. Yet, despite all his effort, life felt heavier with each sunrise. One day, while arranging apples on his cart, he noticed an old man walking slowly across the road. The man's clothes were torn, and his sandals were falling apart. When he reached Rohan's stall, he stopped and whispered, "Son, may I have just one apple? I haven't eaten since yesterday." Rohan looked at his fruits. Each one meant money, rent, survival. But still, he picked a fresh apple and placed it in the man's shaking hands. "Eat, uncle," he said softly. "Don't worry about the price." The man smiled weakly and said, "One day, my child, life will return this kindness to you." Rohan smiled back politely, unaware that this single gesture would one day rewrite his fate. Days turned into weeks, and Rohan forgot about the old man. His earnings barely covered rent. Then came a week of heavy rainfall. The streets flooded, customers vanished, and half of his fruits spoiled. Rohan stood under his torn umbrella, shivering, frustrated, and praying for a miracle. One evening, while heading home, he saw a commotion near the temple gate. A car accident. A small boy was trapped under a cart. Without thinking twice, Rohan rushed forward, helped lift the cart, and pulled the hurt child to safety. The boy's ankle was bleeding. Rohan tore his own shirt to make a bandage. When the child's mother arrived, she wept with gratitude. "Thank you, you saved my son's life," she cried. But Rohan simply smiled and said, "It's okay, madam. He's just a child." He didn't give his name. He just walked away. That night, soaking wet and exhausted, Rohan returned home only to find his landlord waiting. "You're 3 weeks late on rent," the man snapped. "If you can't pay by tomorrow, you'll have to leave." Rohan nodded silently, clutching his mother's hand. He had no money left, no plan, and no hope. He slept restlessly beside his mother's bed, thinking, "I gave what little I had, kindness, time, but maybe kindness doesn't pay bills." Yet something inside whispered, "Stay kind anyway." The next morning, Rohan pushed his empty cart to the market again, determined to try one last time. By afternoon, a well-dressed man in a grey suit came toward his stall. "Are you Rohan?" the man asked. Rohan blinked, unsure. "Yes, sir," he said hesitantly. The man smiled. "You don't know me, but you helped my son at the temple gate 3 days ago." He extended his hand. "My name is Mr. Mehta. I own the Mehta Food Company." Rohan recognized the name. It was one of the biggest suppliers in the city. Mr. Mehta continued, "I've been searching for you. Not many people risk themselves for strangers these days. I'd like to repay your kindness. Come meet me at my office tomorrow morning." Rohan was speechless. The next day, he went nervously to the company building. Mr. Mehta greeted him warmly. "I started my life selling fruits, just like you," he said. "And I know that honesty and compassion are worth more than any degree." He offered Rohan a job managing fruit supply for their local division. With a stable salary and benefits, Rohan could hardly believe his ears. Tears welled up as he said, "Sir, I don't know how to thank you." Mr. Mehta smiled. "Just keep doing what you did. Help others. That's enough. Thank you for me." That evening, Rohan returned home with tears of relief. He knelt beside his mother and said, "Ma, the kindness we give never disappears. It always finds its way back." Months passed. Rohan flourished at his new job. His mother's health improved, their worries faded, and he began sending part of his income to a local orphanage. Every weekend, he volunteered to teach children how to sell fruits honestly and treat customers kindly. One evening, while visiting the same market from where his story had begun, He noticed an elderly beggar sitting in the corner, frail, quiet, with familiar silver hair. Rohan's heart skipped. Could it be the same man he had given that apple too long ago? He walked closer. The old man looked up with faded eyes and whispered, "You look happy, son." Rohan knelt down beside him and said, "Do you remember me, uncle? You once said that life would return my kindness." The old man smiled faintly. "Ah, so it did. I told you, karma never forgets." Rohan handed him a small bag full of fruit and said humbly, "You were right. It came back, not double, but 100 times more. Thank you for teaching me that." As he walked away, Rohan turned once more to see the old man smiling peacefully, his hands raised in blessing. In that moment, Rohan understood the value of an action lies not in what it costs, but in the love that powers it. That night, as he looked out of his window at the quiet city lights, he whispered to himself, "Compassion doesn't expire. It travels from one heart to another until it returns home." And so, the boy who once gave a hungry man an apple without thinking discovered that kindness moves in circles. The hands that give will one day receive, when the world decides the time is right. Moral: every act of kindness creates ripples beyond what the eye can see. What you put into the world, whether pain or compassion, eventually finds its way back. So choose to plant good and watch how life blooms around you.